So I've just gotten into a Tesla Powerwall 2 unit, and I've seen lots of videos online where people are either magically inside of them already, or the one I really liked was the guy took an angle grinder and just cut the whole top of it off. My plan here was to get inside of it non-destructively, which I have successfully done. However, I will not be putting it back together because it's quite dangerous, at least in your garage. I'm sure if you're using mechanized equipment, I'm sure Tesla's doing it very safely. It's very hard to take apart, and I want to show you why. So this is the way I have it propped up here. Just propped up on a chair. We were able to remove it. The issue you have is that the hole on the bottom, the whole battery is attached to the actual plate that mounts to the wall. And then this rather light enclosure, it's probably 30, maybe 40 pounds, basically goes around it. But the entire opening here is just barely wider than the actual electronics inside. And this blue bar you see right here is actually the HVDC, or it's not high voltage, it's the 48 volt bus. So this is our main bus voltage here for the pack, that can deliver 20, 30, 40,000 amps, don't even know, lots of current. Here's the negative side. The other side looks the same and it's red. And if you take a tape, and I'll get a helper over here. So obviously if you're using a magnetic tape, you don't want to touch both bus bars, but we can get an approximation of the width here. So the bus bars are 26.5 inches, maybe 26 3/8 inches. And if we go over to the opening here, you can see that it is 26 1/2 to 26 5/8 inch, which means you have between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch to not short the two bus bars out. And you might think, well, if it's wider, you won't touch because it's wider. But of course, that's only if this line stays parallel to that line. So you don't have a lot of room there. And what I ultimately ended up doing was taking some just old circuit boards that didn't end up working out and just kind of taping them to the side. This is while the enclosure was still there. And I've actually put a little bit of tape over that just to be a better insulator. And so what I did is I came over to this negative side and basically put 4 of these on there like that. It was much, much harder to do when we were also having to make sure we weren't going to short it out. And so that's kind of what I did to get it off. I'm not going to be putting it back together because, yeah, it was a bit harrowing. So anyway, we're now inside of this module and we're going to start taking it apart. This is almost certainly how Tesla assembles it as well. If you can see up here, we have all the plumbing and the harnesses. I've already disconnected all of the wire harnesses. I was a little disappointed to see that this is not actually a heat pump per se. It's more of a fluid heater and cooler. This is just a one-way valve. And basically you can only take the ambient air in to cool this, or you can of course use this to exhaust it as well. But there is no actual compressor and evaporator in this system. It's just a fluid pump, just like you'd have on your PC at home or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I imagine that probably Tesla has this part laying flat on a table, and then they actually go in and assemble this top piece down. It's a bit interesting. There are certainly a lot of oddities here. I will say that I didn't actually pay for this Powerwall. This is not a paid endorsement. No one has paid me any money for this, but I actually found this for free, and so I figured I'd take it apart. I don't have the mating contactor unit, the service disconnect or whatever, so wasn't able to use this anyway. Figured I'd tear it down and just kind of see how it goes. And of course we've got this nominally 13.5 kilowatt hour pack here with plenty of foam, etc. But I'm mainly interested in this inverter stage up here. The inverter power stage is a three-phase. What was it? It's a single split 240, so it'll do two 120s, 180 degrees out of phase. And so it's probably a 3-phase. Again, I haven't looked at this at all. I've just taken the lid off. And so we should have 3 half bridge, either MOSFET or IGBT stages. And it'd be really neat to be able to get in there and instead of talking over the CAN bus that this has, again, I don't have the mating portion of that. It'd be really neat to be able to come in here and actually just control this inverter, because I'm almost certain that the CAN bus is not controlling the actual phasing information in real time. It's probably only delivering power requests, deliver 1 kilowatt or charge at 1 kilowatt, etc. Probably the logic in here is handling all of the actual phase timing and everything, because I just don't think the CAN bus would be fast enough for that, even if this was the only device. And of course, you can have up to 10 devices on the CAN bus. So anyway, it'd be really cool to get in here, and we're going to take this inverter stage off. Once we get the cover removed, we're going to have to remove all of the fluid cooling there. and then maybe we'll be able to reuse that heat exchanger for something. But I was kind of hoping that was going to be an actual heat pump, but whatever. You know, it is what it is. I did want to point out there's a lot of kind of how you doing stuff in here. There's a bunch of painter's maskers tape just to keep. They glue these ribs on, I guess, so that the modules won't. You know, if you crush the module, it won't, you know, short out or whatever. And then they just put some painter's tape in there. There's kind of a few things, you know, they say that a product with duct tape in it is still in beta. I'm not sure what they say with paint tape, but it's interesting. There's also some weird, just like capped on randomly stuck in places. Not sure why that's there. This is obviously, you know, how they align this when they're installing it, but that seems kind of weird. But yeah, overall, the hardest part is, you know, there's a very small film on here. It's not a capped on, it's some kind of polyamide or something, I'm not really sure. But it's, you know, it's missing in places, and there's no reason this opening couldn't be bigger. We'll come over here as well. There's a bus bar over on this side that is red that is, it gets in the way. So
it's also not insulated in very important places.
That won't hear you because it's on right here. Yeah. So there's a bus bar, you can talk now, yeah. There's a bus bar right here that gets in the way. So this is our positive bus bar here, and it basically hits the top of this enclosure. If you look inside the enclosure here, cancel that. If you look inside here, you can see that bus bar gets right here, and this could really be hollowed out a lot more to give a little more room, because the bottom of this module, the opening here, I know this is a lot of just moving back and forth, this bottom edge here is actually higher when it's in its installed position. It's actually higher than the bottom of these cells. So you have to actually, the way this works, if this is the if this is that enclosure, you basically have to pull it off like that and pull it off far, and then you have to cram all those circuit boards in over on the blue side, and then you have to pull it down to clear the bottom edge, and then you can pull it up to where it's sitting right now. So it's a bit weird. I'm not sure why this opening is so small. Obviously you need this sealing surface because this is an outdoor, I think IP56 rated device, but that could be better. Hopefully the Powerwall 3 does that better whenever that comes out. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna start turning this out. Now that we have it out, of course, the inverter stage is mainly what I'm interested in. I'm less interested in the battery pack, although it could, you know, it's neat to have on standby. I hope it's much lighter. This Powerwall is way too heavy. It's very difficult to install. Even just installing it here for the disassembly, you know, I'm 210. My buddy helping me is, you know, 230, 240, whatever. And I don't know, is that fair?
264.
264 is the answer. So we've got to combine, you know, 475 pounds. And this is a Haas to haul around, so I'm not sure why these need to be this heavy. These should be a more modular unit, in my opinion. The Tesla Powerwall 3 certainly does not look like it's going to be any lighter because it looks like a much bigger, beefier unit. Oh, it's leaking. Awesome. All right, cool. We're going to start taking this apart and get the inverter just sitting on a table, and hopefully it's much, much lighter. Yeah, it's probably the cooling loop. I imagine we probably stretched one of the cables. So it's possible we've stretched one of the cables too much and it's leaking, but to be determined. So thanks for watching.